Hello everyone, my name is Mohammad Anas Rehman. In this video, I'm going to talk briefly about what good communication looks like during a change process, what makes it work well, what can go wrong, and I'll also share an example from my own experience too. So when an organization goes through any kind of change, communication is honestly one of the most important parts. And it's not something you do once. It changes depending upon the stage of the process. In class, we looked at Cotter's 8-step model, and that really helped me understand how communication needs to shift at each stage. At the start, people mainly want to know why the change is happening. So communication here has to be honest and clear. If people don't understand the reason, they won't support anything that comes after. As the change moves forward, leaders need to listen as much as they speak. So there needs to be space for questions, concerns, maybe even fear, because those always show up. Then there is the vision part. The vision has to be repeated over and over again. In simple language, people don't remember long, complicated messages, especially when they are already worried about what the change means for them. In the middle of the change, communication becomes more about updates. Here's what we have achieved, here's what we are fixing, here's what's next. Small wins really matter here because they motivate people to keep going. And towards the end, communication needs to help people settle into the new ways of working, which is where emotions come in. That connects with Bridges' idea that change is also a psychological transition. Now, in terms of what makes communication good, a few things stood out from lectures and readings. It needs to be clear, which means no jargon, no mixed messages. It needs to be regular because silence makes people nervous. It needs to be honest. People can tell when something is hidden. And it definitely needs to be two-way. Just sending emails isn't enough. People need to feel heard. And finally, good communication pays attention to emotions. Change isn't just a process, it affects how people feel. On the other hand, there are some common pitfalls. One is inconsistency. Different managers saying different things. Another is sharing a too little information or sharing too late, which leads to rumors. Sometimes leaders also overload employees with too many updates at once. But the biggest pitfall is ignoring how people actually feel. If communication doesn't acknowledge fear, confusion, or frustration, people will resist, even if the change itself is reasonable. To make this even more real, I'll share a quick example from my time at Capgemini during the transition from remote work back to hybrid. At the beginning, communication was really good. Management explained the reasons behind hybrid work, especially around collaboration and security. And they did it slowly and clearly. They gave people time to adjust, which helped reduce anxiety. But later on, communication became a bit more forceful, and people felt like they don't have a choice anymore. That's when morale dipped, and some colleagues actually left. It showed me how communication needs to stay open and two-way throughout the whole process, not just the beginning. So overall, a good communication plan adapts at each stage of the change, stays honest and consistent, avoids the usual pitfalls, and keeps people involved. And when communication is done well, it can honestly make a huge difference to whether the change succeeds or fails. Thanks for listening.